What's up, everyone? This is Isaac from Hunter Smash Fitness. I got a wonderful video for you guys today. Got to work with My Block Strongest Man to do a collaboration and talk about Thor versus Ward. So please enjoy.
So welcome back to My Block Strongest Man, where today I have a collab with my buddy Isaac over at Hunger Smash Fitness. Isaac, introduce yourself before we get into today's discussion.
Yeah, so my name's Isaac. Started the channel Hunger Smash Fitness. Been dabbling with strongman for the last couple years. Grew up, working on dairy farms and stuff, and so moving big, heavy objects just kind of came naturally to me. So my interest in strongman kind of falls with that, and ran into John, and we decided to start working together.
Awesome. Yeah, happy to be doing it. So really the topic of the day today is Thor is having an exhibition fight with an actual professional boxer, Stephen Ward. And I wanted to kind of jump on here, talk with you, and see what we think about this situation. So, I mean, first of all, this was supposed to be happening in Reykjavik, Iceland, like where Thor is from, or near where Thor is from. And suddenly, I don't know why, but they've moved it to Dubai, and both guys are there kind of training in the same gym in Dubai. They're sort of not looking at each other and whatever. So what do you think about the change in venue? Like, how does that going to affect both guys?
I don't know. Um, I think especially since Ward has so much background in boxing, he actually has so much experience with it. I think Thor definitely would have had the advantage, the home field advantage. With the move to Dubai, I don't know, because that's a long, plane ride and everything shifts suddenly. It's probably going to throw both of them off. It'll be interesting to see how they react to it. Thor has competed there a couple times before with the World Ultimate Strongman and stuff like that. So he's had some experience in the area. I'm not sure about Stephen Ward, but yeah, I think they'll both handle it okay. But it'll be interesting to see what comes out of it.
Yeah, I mean, interesting. Speaking of Stephen Ward's career and experience, here it is. So for boxing fans, we kind of all know the website BoxRec, and that's what follows your career, your wins, losses. And he's 13-1, so he is pretty accomplished.
Yeah.
That kind of comes with a little bit of caveat because toward the beginning of his career, he beat some pushovers, let's say, like 16-40 guys and 20-71 guys. So I guess that's just what you do at the beginning of your career. But you can only beat who's in front of you, and he beat them. He doesn't have a great KO percentage, but do you have to KO Thor to beat him?
No, I don't think you'd have to KO Thor. I think the big thing with Thor is, I mean, he's got a ton of power. He's an extremely powerful athlete, and especially right out the gate, I think he's going to be looking for that knockdown early on. I think Thor, I don't know if he's necessarily going to be playing the long game. He's never had phenomenal stamina, and so I think Ward's probably going to be playing into that and just tire him out a little bit early on. But it'll be interesting to see how that plays out as well, just because Thor is very inexperienced in that area.
Yeah, it's interesting. I was thinking also about the height and the weight difference. So Stephen Ward is listed at 6'2". Thor, as we know, is always listed at 6'9". And so I was looking at them side by side here, and you can even say that Thor is a bit closer to the camera here, making him appear even taller than he is. And even that being said, they don't look 7 inches apart to me. Like typically the human head is known to be 8 inches, and maybe Thor's is a little bigger than that, but still, like Stephen Ward's head is more than halfway up Thor's head. So I don't see him being more than 4 or 5 inches shorter than Thor, not 7. But what do you think based on what you see here?
I don't know. I mean, it's probably about 5 inches or so, 4 or 5 inches at least. Which, I mean, Thor's going to have a little bit of an advantage with that, having the height and the reach and everything. I've done some judo and I've done Muay Thai and stuff in the past. I haven't done as much boxing, so I'm not as familiar with it. Um, I think, yeah, Thor's definitely going to have that advantage with the height and being able to apply pressure down instead of coming up. It's just going to, it takes a lot more force to hit up than it does to hit down. Um, but yeah, it looks, I mean, it looks probably more like 4 or 5 inches, which is still a significant difference though.
It is, yeah. And then weight wise, what's weird with that too is there's a really big weight difference, even with all the weight that Thor has lost. So, by all reports, Thor is down like 110 pounds, which would put him
Yeah,
around 344 or something like that, which for him is,
I think so.
yeah, that's very slim for him. But Stephen Ward's been fighting cruiserweight, which is a limit of 200 pounds. And I did some kind of researching on Stephen Ward, and he's recently up to the cruiserweight division at that. He was light heavyweight, which is 175. So I don't know. Like some people say, well, you know, you have to cut to make that weight, which is true. So I would say he could be up to 20 or 30 pounds more than that. But even let's even say he'll come in
Right.
the ring 230 compared to 345 is still a huge difference, no?
Yes, that's it. That's a massive difference. And I know, even when I was doing judo, and you know, I'm about 6'5", and right now I'm right around 300 pounds. But you know, at the time I was 230 or something at 6'5", and I would compete against some other guys who were, you know, I had maybe a 40-pound advantage on, and that's still a big advantage. But we were both experienced in the sport, so we both knew kind of what we were doing. So that's going to be a massive advantage with Thor if he can figure out how to fight. So yeah, the weight I think could play a big factor, but also it's going to slow him down and tire him out a lot more as well.
Yeah, it's interesting that if you look at the two guys' Instagrams, Thor is showing an image of just standing there, whereas Stephen Ward is showing video of him in action, which would lead me to believe he's more confident in. I mean, look at him. He looks like a real boxer. He is a real boxer and he looks sharp like a real boxer. Like he doesn't look like someone who's just learning to box. Like there's an obvious difference
You're
here.
right.
Yeah, even for a guy that's only has 13, look at how crisp those punches are. Um, he doesn't even have to hit like a ton of bricks. I think, and I have kind of one of my famous spreadsheets with my prediction. I think that can end in an accumulation of punishment stoppage.
Right. And I think, I mean, but even looking at his punches, he's still hitting hard. He's still gonna, I mean, that's still gonna bruise if you hit him enough times. So he's not, you know, he's not your grandma out there with the 2-pound dumbbells doing little punches. Like he's he's putting some power behind those punches. And so, you know, Thor's obviously going to have the reach, and so he's going to have to come inside Thor's guard and everything to get those punches to land. But if he can start landing punches, um, yeah, he hits hard and he hits fast. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out.
Yeah, I mean, I guess both guys are going to implement the power beard to kind of protect their faces a bit. It looks like.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. So, but that leads me to another question too. So, you're talking about hitting hard. This is billed as an exhibition. So, what does that mean to you? Like, do you think that they'll be trying to knock each other down, or is it more of a showcase for Thor's skills and kind of get him more acclimated to be in an environment of a real fight? Or like, do you think Stephen Ward's going to try to knock him down? Because if he tries, he might succeed.
Yeah. From what I've seen, it looks like Steven is yeah, more kind of inviting him into the sport to let him play and experience the being in a ring, basically getting pummeled. And so I don't know if Stephen Ward is actually going. I don't know if he's actually going in with the mindset to try and knock him down first round or anything like that. I think he is going in with the mindset of more to you know, let Thor test the water before he faces Eddie. Thor's mindset, Thor seems to make it seem like he's more going in to win. Um, but I mean, that's like a white belt taking on a black belt, and doesn't matter how big the white belt is. Black belt just has experience. He's done it multiple times against multiple opponents. He knows how to handle himself. So
Yeah, I mean, I tell
yeah,
this
I think with
story on my
Ward's
channel
mindset,
sometimes too. I tell this story on my channel sometimes too. I've actually had the opportunity to train with a former two-time world champion boxer once in my life. So I'm in New Jersey, and in Brooklyn is Gleason's Gym, which is one of the most famous boxing gyms and actually the oldest remaining boxing gym in all the United States. And so I went there on my 40th birthday and said, I'd like to have a training session. And they surprised me with a former world champion who I've seen on HBO before, and they said, here will be your trainer today. And I said, yes, I'm very well aware of who he is. And
yeah,
so, I outsized him. Like, this guy was a champion in the lower weight divisions. I was considerably, like, I'm 158, 185 right now. And I was a little
right.
lighter then, but still larger than he was, taller than he was. And like, there was just no chance that I would ever have any chance at all. He was going like a quarter speed, and I couldn't avoid his punches. So
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, exactly.
yeah. A funny story I always tell is that he actually, with one of his, he was teaching me defense from a complicated combo. And so I avoid like the first 7 punches. He hits me with the eighth one and knocks my glasses across the room. And so as not to, show me any compassion, he goes over quietly and apologizes to my wife in silence instead of me.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, and I think that's one of the things too that you've mentioned, because most of the videos that Thor's posted of him training, he's not showing a lot of speed, and that's one thing that I think Ward could lose him quite easily on. Throwing a couple, fake jabs or something and get him to try and block those. And while he's still busy trying to block those, go in and rain down 5 or 6 punches.
Right,
So
right.
I'm not seeing the speed that Thor may require to handle himself.
Yeah, I mean, and so to be fair, I asked Stephen Ward these questions on Instagram, and I stalk you, I see you lurking on there, so you've seen my comments to him, and I've asked him like, how many
Mhm.
rounds are they? 3-minute rounds? What are the rules? And I haven't heard anything back. And granted, to be fair, it's probably because he's training and he's busy, but
Yeah, he's
um,
probably busy.
yeah, like I can't get a straight answer as to whether like how serious this actually is going to be, but let's just say it's a 12-round fight, which I think there's no way in the world it would be. It'd probably be closer to 6, but do you think the fight
Yeah,
will go the distance?
I I don't think so. I have a feeling. I mean, because basically the way I see it, there's one of two outcomes, and it's either Thor is gonna just utterly demolish Ward and overpower him early on, or Thor's gonna get gassed. And I have a feeling it's gonna be more of the second, where it'll probably go 2 or 3 rounds in, and that by that time, Thor's not really gonna have much left in the tank. And I kind of feel like it's gonna go more that way. Um, they might let it run the distance, but I have a feeling it'll probably come to a point where the referee will have to call it before the last round.
I'm thinking the same thing because if you watch Thor kind of on his channel and on YouTube mainly, he seems to be practicing a patient approach, like not an all-out assault approach, which I think he's going to be on the receiving end of with Eddie Hall. But he's
Yeah,
practicing more of a foot movement, sort of like a real boxer would box. He just doesn't have anywhere near the speed of a real boxer. But I think it's going to get to a point where Stephen Ward's going to tag him so many times that might go out the window, and Thor may being inexperienced may kind of try to end things and gas himself out.
yeah, yep.
So here's the magic question: who will win?
I uh, I think as phenomenal of an athlete as Thor is, I mean he's phenomenal at all the strongman events. But this isn't a strongman event. This is a, you know, 5 mile run while someone's punching you the entire time. And I think my money is gonna have to go on Steven, just because he's got the experience. This is what he trains, this is what he lives to do. Um, so yeah, I think I'd have to put my money on Steven with this.
Right. Yeah, kind of I have to as well. I'll actually show you kind of how I figured it all out. So, can you see my spreadsheet?
No, not yet.
All right. Let's try to share that. Hold on. We'll have to reshare application. So, I'll go ahead and share, and now you should see it.
All right. Yep, got it.
There we go. So, as you know, on my channel, I'm pretty famous for spreadsheets, so I had to do one here for this as well. And so you'll see the other tabs where
Yeah.
I've done the Eddie versus Thor predictions, and so I decided to do one Thor versus Stephen Ward as well. So I did kind of a scenario where what would happen if it were 12 rounds and it went all 12 rounds. And the way I broke it out, let's zoom that in a bit for you. The way that I broke it out is the 4 ways that you decide who wins a boxing match are effective aggression, ring generalship, which means which guy appears to be getting his way in the ring and being effective with his plan, hard and clean punches, and defense, which can be broken down into a variety of things, many of which likely you may be familiar with from your martial arts background. And so I tried to judge each of these things. So if you go round by round, and I won't kind of bore you going through every single little cell here, but long story short, right here, I have Ward winning every round 10-9. I don't see any way that, that Thor wins a round. I don't have him winning a round against Eddie Hall, so never mind against a professional boxer. It's just not going to happen.
Yeah.
Like, I have him like tying for hard and clean punches in a couple of rounds, maybe where Stephen Ward tires out a little later from having to deal with such a big guy, where I think Thor's punches are harder, but Stephen Ward's are still cleaner, so he doesn't even win that category cleanly. Right. So that's kind of where I have it. 120, 108, if it were a 12-round fight, every round to Stephen Ward. Now, what do I think really will happen? I don't think, number one, that it will be a 12-round fight, and number two, it won't go the distance if it is. So I'm predicting a stoppage, which I think will happen in the 6th round. So Stephen Ward wins every round 10-9 and then stops Thor in the 6th by accumulation of punishment. Thor is not that he's winded because he's out of shape, like he's winded because he's out of boxing shape, and that's like 99.99% of the population. And so his
that's all of us out here if we were going up and fighting Stephen Ward.
Yeah. I'll tell you another story about that in a second. But yeah, so because he hasn't trained for all of his career in boxing, he finally gets winded around the 6th round. Stephen Ward starts hitting him at will, and I think still doesn't knock him down, but the referee says, like in MMA, too many shots to the head, that's enough. That's what I think is going to happen.
Safety of the athlete.
So again, that's if they're
I think I would agree
fighting
with that.
like a real fight.
Right. And I mean, like I mentioned, like things could definitely go sideways. Maybe Thor comes in with way more speed and power than we were expecting and just utterly demolishes Steven in the 2nd round or something. It could happen theoretically, but I'm not seeing that as a plausible prediction. We'll put it that way.
Do you buy this argument on the internet of Thor is playing possum and he's really not that slow?
No, because like with all of his training for strongman, yeah, you have to be fast, but you have to be fast with 300 pounds. So it's a different type of speed, and he's decent. I mean, even with that, he's been decently quick, but he doesn't have the same brutal speed that you would require in an actual fight. And he's never trained it before. So even with that, like the fast twitch muscles and everything required to be able to use that speed to get up to that point, I just don't see him having it. But
yeah, that's actually,
again, like I said, maybe Oh, go ahead.
That's another great point. I was going to ask you: is fast twitch muscle fiber developable, like, or do you have it or you don't?
Um, yes and no. So everyone's built with, I mean, you can have tests run and you can see the breakdown of different muscles and everything, and how much of the different, slow twitch and fast twitch and everything. Um, with training, you can increase the number of fast twitch fibers to an extent, but a lot of it is also genetics. A lot of the time some people are more predisposed to have more fast twitch and others are not. So yes and no.
Yeah, I'm with you. I don't buy it
And
either. I think he's trying as hard as he can, and that's just his natural speed. He just seems like, and I'm not taking
yeah,
anything away from him. This is a natural evolution when you learn a new discipline. He seems like he's learning like 3 and 4 punch combinations and doing fine with those, but he's just not at the point where he can react in a real life scenario to something unfamiliar coming at him.
right. Yeah, I would agree with that. I think he's getting there. He's obviously, like, he's hired some good trainers and everything. But is he a top level boxer? No, I haven't seen anything that would indicate that as far as I can tell.
Yeah, I mean, I would say to his credit, he picked a relatively successful boxer to fight, and
Right.
he also picked a boxer who's right around Eddie's size, so he's practice or height anyway. So he's practicing with
Height, yeah,
the right
weight is a
height.
little different.
Yeah, he's practicing with the right height guy. So like he's doing all the right stuff. It's not like he's
Right.
practicing poorly. The other thing I wanted to ask you was Thor just recently today, I think on his Twitch channel, I caught it on Nick Strength and Power, but basically he was taking a dig at Eddie saying, in a condescending way, like, I really am looking out for you and think you should be doing exhibitions like I am, or else you're going to get hurt and things like that. So do you feel like, from what you've seen of Eddie Hall, is he doing too much kind of um, throwing punches at a trainer who isn't punching back and not actual sparring and exhibitions? And should he be doing more of that? And is he at a disadvantage to Thor because of that?
Um, I mean, at some point, yeah, I think he does need to actually get some experience. I mean, he's had some experience getting into fights growing up and stuff, it sounds like, and he's done some exhibitions in the past. Granted, it was, very inexperienced, very it wasn't necessarily a real fight per se. Um, but so I think he's had some experience with that. I think for the time being, he's really trying to focus more on his conditioning. Um, and I think at some point it would be a really good idea to do an exhibition or two. Um, but I don't know. I mean, it could be that maybe he and his trainer are suiting up and sparring together or something, or maybe he has people coming in that he's not talking about that spar with him or something. I mean, I don't follow him around 24/7, so I don't know what all he's doing with his free time. And obviously, the only thing that I see is what he puts out on the internet. And so he might be doing a lot more, he might not. I definitely think it would be a good idea for him to start doing some exhibitions or something at some point. Um,
Right.
but again, yeah, like I said, I mean, he has some experience getting hit already, so we'll see how far that takes him.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a long time between now and September. I think he will actually do
Yeah,
sparring. I don't know if he'll do an exhibition, but again, he's
yeah.
done them in the past, and I don't know if you've watched it on YouTube. If the kind of exhibition Eddie Hall had is the kind we're going to see now, then it's going to be guys trying to hit each other for real, because that wasn't a holding back type of fight. If you go try to catch it,
No.
yeah. So
Yeah.
yeah, if that's what we're going to see with Thor and Stephen Ward, Thor's in a little bit of trouble if he's going to get actually hit like that, because no,
Yeah.
Eddie got hit. Eddie
Yeah,
got
we'll
hit in
see,
that
I
fight
guess.
and kept coming. So
Yeah. And that's something that I really give credit to Eddie to. I mean, Eddie's not always my favorite guy. There's a lot of times where he gets on my nerves and stuff where I'm like, all right, dude, it's time to stop and be quiet for a while. but I mean, as far as like he's a smart athlete. He really plans things out, and he really does what he needs to do to win. And so I'm sure he's really got it all planned out. I'm sure he and his trainer have got things, have some sort of schedule figured out. But yeah, I mean, from my little bit of, I mean, judo and stuff, you're not getting punched as much. Usually, you're more trying to do sweeps and arm bars and all that sort of stuff. The little bit of Muay Thai that I did, that was less pleasant because it's, when you're getting slammed with elbows and knees and everything else, it starts to take its toll pretty quickly. So I think it's something that he'll definitely want to experience before he gets into the ring with Thor. And like I said, Thor's got some power in those hands. If he can make contact, it's gonna leave a mark. So we'll see how that works out too.
Yeah, he's really got to generate a lot more speed than he's showing. I mean, and he is improving a little bit. Like
Yeah.
the first videos were, sorry to say, terrible.
My 2-year-old could do it at
Yeah,
that speed. It's
like he literally looked like he was throwing punches in a pool of molasses. But he's better than
yeah,
that. He's just not fast.
right, right. So
I don't know.
yeah, and
I throw punches in a mirror, and I'm like, I'm twice as fast as he is. Granted, I'm half the weight, but
right, yeah, but yeah, I mean, but like I said, for the last 12 years or whatever it is now, all of his training has been on developing power and strength, not necessarily on quickness, so it's a little, yeah, jumping into it and just switching mindset completely. It's going to take some time for him to really get that speed coming.
Yeah.
But,
I mean, interestingly enough, like I'm very honest about this on my channel. I'm not a Thor fan. I am an Eddie fan because of that Viking press controversy, and it's
yeah.
I'm a weird fellow because I'm an Eddie Hall fan and also a big Laws fan. Usually, you like one personality or the other, but
uh,
um,
I
but
think
yeah.
more and more
So
people are starting to like Laws though as well. I think you're getting more and more people that are liking both, because since Laws has gotten so popular with his YouTube channel, um, yeah, you're getting more people like you.
yeah, yeah, but I mean, to give Thor credit where credit is due, like a lot of the kind of media surrounding this is, oh, look at all the weight he's dropping to get in shape for boxing, and I think that's really a much smaller part of the story. The part that everybody misses when he retired is he mentioned real quickly, I want to be healthy for my family, and that's why I
Right.
think he dropped 110 pounds. Like this boxing match is a byproduct for him. I think like, and like I
Yeah.
said, I'm not typically a fan of his, but to give him credit, like that's very honorable, that he wants to be around for his wife
Yeah.
and kids, and let's let's maybe like move away from the boxing discussion to give him credit for doing something really good.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. And yeah, I mean, as far as like his effort towards his family and stuff, I definitely respect that. I think that's wonderful. Yeah, I'm kind of in the same boat for him. I really liked him up until that incident. I was kind of tied on whether I liked Brian Shaw or Thor more for my favorite strongman athlete. And then after the whole Viking press incident, I was like, all right, you're kind of just a child with a bunch of people following you around. He's always got his cohort of like 50 that follow him to every event.
Yeah,
So
that's
after
that's the
that,
other thing that really got me. Like the whole like his entourage is going to take up seats that competitors should be sitting in. Like that really got to me.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So yeah, after that whole Viking press thing, I haven't really been much of a Thor fan, but I definitely respect him trying to be healthy for his family. I think
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, and I'm a husband and a father of two and everything, and I get that. I want to be here for my kids. It's that's why I'm staying at 300 pounds. I'm not going to 450 or something like that.
Nice.
But yeah, I can respect that.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. So, all right. So I think the final word here is there's no way Thor can beat Stephen Ward if it's a real fight with both guys really trying. Like you wouldn't expect Thor or
Yep.
Eddie to beat a professional boxer. That's just crazy talk.
No.
If it's the other sort of exhibition where Thor's in there to sort of showcase what he's learned and get acclimated to the environment, then maybe interesting to watch, but doesn't really tell us much because we already knew that neither he nor Eddie could beat a professional boxer.
Yeah, pretty much. I I think that's about what it comes down to.
Yeah, at least imagine if they actually had a big heavyweight fighting him instead of somebody who just came up from 175, like Jarrell Big Baby
I don't
Miller
know
is
if there
known for
are
being
any.
the heaviest boxer. So yeah, Jarrell Big Baby Miller, I think, is
True.
close to 300 pounds. He's like one of the heaviest boxers. So if
But
he
he's not
fought Eddie or Thor,
6'9" though, right?
what's that?
How tall is he though? Isn't he like 6'4", something like that?
I think he's like 6'3". Yeah.
6'3", somewhere around there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, Matt, like
But
him against
yeah, that'd be
Eddie
an
would
interesting
be
fight though.
sort of a better size comparison. But again, he's a pro boxer. It's a different league.
Maybe that's who Eddie's getting lined up. I don't know. So
Maybe. Yeah. Yeah, it's like I don't know if you've seen Eddie's latest video where he has the UK's strongest bodybuilder come try to deadlift with him. Like you're not in my world, man. You know what I mean?
no, I haven't seen that yet. Oh man.
Yeah, I mean he got
UK's
over
strongest
700,
bodybuilder.
which is fantastic, but it's not
Wow.
1100.
Yeah. Yeah. That's impressive for a bodybuilder. I mean,
Yeah, he got into the
but
I think he was in the 720s or something like that.
wow, that's pretty good.
Yeah. Yeah.
Man.
But interesting. All right, cool. So I think that's the final
Yeah.
word. If it's a real fight, Thor has no chance. If it's not a real fight, good to maybe for a little entertainment. Not really much we can learn. But thanks for getting together and talking this through. I've had a lot of fun.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Thanks for having me on, and this has been really fun. We're definitely looking forward to doing more videos with you. There's lots of topics that we can work through.
For sure. My Trello board is full of over 200 of them, so we'll definitely get them done.
All righty. Well, we'll start working on them then.
All right, buddy. We'll talk next time. Take care.
Yeah, you too. Bye.
Right.